most coaching trainings are causing you to fail neurodivergent clients when it comes to implementation, motivation, and accountability. Even if the coaching toolkit you're using has moved beyond the old GROW model, where the W stands for will, for that willpower, that determination, that taking inspired action, there are still ghosts of it in so many of the coaching models and strategies that we're using in the mid-2020s here. Now, one of the problems with this is if you have a neurodivergent client, they are likely to have a brain that's wired very differently to the neurotypical clients for whom things like the GROW model were originally developed. If they're not taking action, it's not necessarily a lack of desire, a lack of motion, a lack of motivation, a lack of willpower. It can literally be executive function. It can be sensory overload. It can be autistic shutdown. It can be the ADHD, interest-driven nervous system, where you need to be able to help a client to flip from have to excitement, that buying into the reasons behind the change to get that action on their radar. So many neurodivergent clients are at burnout. So if you want them to take action, they actually need to clear out some of what's been draining their energy first to have the energy to put into the actions. And they tend to have very hardwired nervous systems that have been triggered through years and years and years of micro-trauma to be hypervigilant, on the lookout for threats. So change for them can actually feel more daunting, particularly if you've got an autistic client who in a particular context actually needs continuity and consistency, and for whom change might be more intimidating and more difficult than it is for a neurotypical client. It's a complex field. And my invitation to you is, if you have a client who you think might be neurodivergent and they're not taking the action, instead of getting kind of like, but you said you would, find tools that work with the way their brain, their body, and their nervous system are wired to help them to feel safe and motivated to take those actions. And that might require you to deepen your toolkit to have more depth and understanding of the neurodivergent world. If you don't have those tools yet, it's absolutely not your fault. And these clients have always been there. It's just most of them were masking so well, and they tended to be the clients that didn't get the breakthroughs that you thought they might. 15 to 20% of your client base will have this lived experience. So I strongly encourage you, if you've got a client that is struggling to implement, look beyond time management, willpower, and motivation, and see if there's something else that's running beneath the surface. Another really common reason is, even for a neurotypical person, the nervous system might not feel safe making that change, which you might need to help them reset that. And it can also be something called secondary gain. Not changing might be meeting a hidden unmet need that will normally be about something to do with safety, and you might need to help them to clear that first without turning into accidental therapy territory. It's something I teach on my Master Coach certification programs, but please do not assume for a neurodivergent client that lack of action means lack of willpower. Okay, they will have spent enough years beating themselves up over this. They don't need more judgment from their coach, even at an unconscious level. Even if you're not judging them, they might perceive it as that because that's a script they'll have trained their brain with. Some neurodivergent brains need different motivation strategies, different accountability styles, and different ways of agreeing actions at the end of a session to allow them to create the same breakthroughs that a neurotypical brain would. And we have a duty of care to make sure that the coaching tools we're using, developed for a neurotypical world, can be adapted to accommodate them, to support them to feel safe, to thrive.